Today's social media segment is brought to you by South Louisiana Bank. It's better when we bank together. Waits and Downer, attorneys at law. Terrebonne Ford, built Ford tough.
Hey everybody, and welcome into Going Public. I am Harry McCullough. This week, we'll talk about Lafourche Parish and Lafourche Parish Council. Joining us here is the Council Chair, Armand Otan from District 7 and Dylan Chasson from District 8. So guys, thanks so much for being with us. You guys had a meeting on October 8th. So you want to take us through some of the highlights of that meeting?
Absolutely. First off, I just want to thank HCV10 and Martin Falls for allowing his neighbors to the east, Lafourche Parish, to come and visit and talk a little bit about what we have going on in Lafourche Parish. He's been very gracious with that respect. Yeah, so our meeting last week, we had a very long meeting, one of our longest in several years. That was primarily due to the fact that we ended up having to cancel the meeting, the previous meeting, the second meeting in September, due to Hurricane Francine, which caused all kind of problems because this is a reassessment year, and so our tax assessor is late in getting all the information, which is normal for a reassessment year. So we had some deadline dates and things, so we ended up having to call a special meeting just to address that. But all the ordinances and resolutions, presentations, and all the others items on our agenda were at last week's meeting. So it was a very long meeting. The meeting started off with something that it seems like we've been dealing with we have been dealing with for over 3 years, which is the aftermath of Hurricane Ida. And everyone's tired of hearing it, but it's a reality. We still have a lot of structures that are down to cement, and we're still doing a lot of nuisance abatement. So the meeting actually started off with several, I don't know if it was 7, 8, 9 nuisance abatement cases, where these are structures where the resident either didn't have the funding, has moved on, is now deceased, and so these buildings or structures that were took a lick from Hurricane Ida are just standing there. And it's kind of tough because the public, just sees this as a problem beyond nuisance, health concerns, et cetera, and which are valid. Unfortunately, it's private property. And so we have no more right than the neighbor does to go right on the property immediately without following all the process, if you will.
Where does public domain come in on that, though, right? Because, New Orleans has traditionally had a real bad problem with that, but you don't want to be 20 years down the road and still have a dilapidated house right next to you, right? So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but that's your point, right, is you have to go through the private property and ownership, right?
That's right. And look, it's a mixed bag. Sometimes there are vagrants that are living in these derelict structures, and what do you do with them? So you can't just go in there and knock them down. Do you have them arrested? If you have them arrested, where do you shelter them at? Somebody's got to provide shelter. So it's definitely a mixed bag, and it really becomes a gray area in terms of what we perceive as being derelict versus maybe someone else. So obviously, if we go in there and tear something down that still has value, and then we may be on the hook. And then how do we recover our costs in getting these things cleaned up? And so you start putting liens on property. And so it's definitely a very complicated process, and it's not a one-stop shop. There's a lot of gray areas.
I know they're not doing it probably in your parish, and I don't know, but then you have so many opportunities to pay taxes on a property like that, and they'll come in right at the last second, right when it's about to be taken over, and they'll pay it, and then it gives them another couple of years, right? Is that how it works?
Yeah, absolutely. And Lafourche Parish government is from their side, if someone shows any small interest in demoing themselves, and we give them that because it's a cost to us,
sure,
right? So that you're absolutely correct. They can delay by doing very small items and then kind of throwing us a head fake where they actually, and sometimes they actually do. We've had items on the agenda that are pulled because the resident ends up taking care of it. But it's once again, I like to emphasize to people that it is private property,
right,
and we have to be very careful when we go and cut. Oftentimes there's trees, there's bushes. Some of them are what's called landscape trees, and so you can't touch them, and some of them are protected. So it's definitely a challenge, and it's unfortunate government tries to address all these issues, but it's
sure,
really private property issues that we're getting ourselves involved in.
Our country's kind of built on that, right? And,
that's right.
In the same way, I know there's some communities that are a little more aggressive with those things, but yeah, you can see both sides for sure. You don't want somebody taking your stuff, but you also as if you live next door to one of those. Not real great. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure that Dylan can agree that we don't like seeing the blue tarps and the derelict structures and people living in tents or in these little makeshift boats and stuff. We absolutely despise of that, but it's a difficult situation to make it right.
Somebody inherited.
Yes, I agree.
Somebody inherited a property, right? And so maybe they don't have a way to keep it up, and they're just trying to do the best they can.
Yeah, I can tell you years ago I went through the same thing with derelict vessels, where vessels had been abandoned along Bayou Lafourche and a stretch that's kind of between Raceland and the Intercoastal Canal. The Greater Lafourche Port Commission takes care on south, and they've done a wonderful job. But we had a lot of derelict vessels that people had just passed away. And so I'm talking about 75-foot trawl boats that were sitting on bottom leaning. And so we were able to find funding through some BPR money and address it. But once again, here it is, government stepping to take care of private property matters. And it's a challenge. And certainly when your primary concern is drainage and pump stations.
Right.
And so every time you send someone to go clean a boat launch, anything like that, it's taken away from something else. So it just makes it difficult. But that still consumes a large part of our agendas, no doubt. Hurricane Ida and a couple other things related to Ida. So we approved $2.7 million in repairs to the DA's office, Hurricane Ida. We had Miss Annette Fontana come in and talk about early voting, and some of the things going on within her office. But she actually had to move out of the courthouse due to Hurricane Francine, which easily was able to penetrate, if you will, the old courthouse, the new courthouse, because of damages from Hurricane Ida. And on top of that, Judge Marley Abel came in and gave a presentation on how deplorable the two courthouses are, and it's back to Hurricane Ida damage, and the process it takes to get things repaired. And some of these have these declarations of being
Historical
Right.
landmarks, so we have to restore them back to as previously. So we're having to spend a lot extra money, although FEMA's assisting, but it takes time. There are parts and pieces that are not readily off the shelf to make these repairs. So it's been a very challenging situation, if you will.
No doubt. And then we sneak some other hurricanes in there in the middle of it, for sure.
Right.
So, all right, we'll take a break. More with Going Public right after this.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System. Your health is our legacy. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bork, know your rights.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to Going Public. I am Harry McCullough. We're speaking Lafourche Parish Council. We've heard from Maman Otan, who is the chair in District 7, but let's go down to District 8, Dylan Chesson, and what's going on down in District 8?
Hi. So District 8, we're still, like he was saying, recovering from Ida. We lost 2 whole shopping centers, the library, but the library is getting put back together. The roof was put on. We went through the bid process for the inside work to get started, and that's going to be happening. So the health unit was taken down from Ida. New health units going up with more services, including mental health services as well. So some positive stuff has come out of it.
I'm sorry, are you talking about Our Lady of Sea or another health unit?
And like just a health unit, a public health unit,
Oh, I got
separate
you.
from Lady of the Sea.
I got
But
you.
yeah, Lady of the Sea's, that new hospital's going up. I saw it today.
Right.
The structure starting. Some positives coming out of Ida is that the rebuild is going on. Like Nooney was talking about the courthouse. When I saw the pictures of the courthouse, I was in shock. Looks like something that you'd see in New Mexico City. Hate to say it like that,
Right.
but it's in bad shape. And we were in the process of renewing in that courthouse before Ida happened.
Right, that
Our
white
administration
top has
was
been on there for a
wanting,
while.
yeah, we were wanting to update in that courthouse. And then Ida came and said, no, you're going to do it the way I say you're going to do it, So we kind of had to pull back a little bit and do it a different way. But in saying that, we still working through Ida destruction, and it's 3 years later, and everybody's tired of hearing it. But it's what it is. It's what we've been given.
Yeah, look, and that's all of us, right? We're all rebuilding, and again, at the same time, we're all looking for construction, we're all looking for workers, we're all looking for materials, we're all trying to get, FEMA bills, which, I think I had Archie on last week, and he was just talking about how FEMA paid off, wonderful, but 3 years later,
Right.
So they're going to start paying interest and do all that. I know that Garrett Graves was saying that was going to be a stipulation, they'd start paying interest, to pay for these bonds and stuff. So yeah, there's a lot going on from that. And like I said, in the meantime, we've had other storms. So we just got to keep rolling. So what else do you see on your agenda? Some of besides the nuisance abatement?
Yeah, so some other things. Well, so first off, I'd like to give a shout out to the Career Magnet Center down in Lockport, which is a part of the Lafourche Parish school board system. We had a resolution in which we approved them to actually service and maintain some of Lafourche Parish government vehicles. They've performed that function for some of the fire districts. Dylan and I are heavily involved in fairs and festivals, and so they actually built us some tables for La Fête des Vieux-Temps. They built 10 tables there. We just provide the materials. So it's a wonderful site, and they're doing good things. And they have, for those who don't know, they really should go take a visit and look at it. It's a really state-of-the-art place that has automotive, cosmetology, diesel mechanics, carpentry, culinary. So it's just
Plumbing, everything.
It's a really, really good facility.
And what's it called?
It's called the Career Magnet Center.
Magnet, okay.
Yeah, and we actually have
Where's that located?
It's in Lockport.
Oh, okay.
It's in Lockport on Highway 308. Yep. And so it's a really nice place, and so hopefully they'll start doing some work for us here shortly. And we know they're under the direction of instructors who are like master mechanics and stuff. So it's there's no threats, if
Which
you will.
is a great way. We talk about Fletcher here a lot as well, but it's a great way to provide future employees that are going to work for a lot of different companies.
Yeah, this is
as people get trades and those kind of things.
Yeah, this is kids through the high school
But
level.
but through the high school,
Yeah.
and they got hands-on, and then win-win, they can build furniture and they can work on cars
Yep.
and help the government as well.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Another thing that the parish president mentioned, the concerns of the governor's tax reform. So I know that there's discussion about a third special session, and so we're all anxious to see.
How
We've
would that
seen
affect
parts.
you guys? Yeah.
Yeah. So we're always worried about the vessel tax and where that goes. It's a pretty large part of our budget. So we're always concerned about that. Certainly the reduction or the removal of income tax, I think, would be beneficial because people will be able to spend more in our local area. So I think that would benefit our parish more than it hurts. So it is it's a lot of parts to it. And so and I think all jurisdictions should be paying close attention.
Well, we were competing with Texas and Florida, right? And a lot of other states that aren't doing state tax anymore. But we have this thing called a homestead exemption that a lot of people seem to like around here. That's where you'd have to raise that or get rid of that, right?
Yeah, and with exceptions. I mean, there's so many exceptions, and we have one that the state approved where local authorities now can grant an additional homestead exemption for first responders, of which, of course, I've been one for 33 years. But the problem is, where do you stop if you just continue to give exemptions? And that's part of the problem is there's so many
Raise
exemptions.
money somewhere, right?
Yeah, and that's what causes problems. And unfortunately, all these same people that are able to benefit by the homestead exemption get to still vote for you to, for that other person to pay that tax.
Sure.
So it becomes very complicated, and so we'll see where that goes. Another item we had was, which was an odd one. We sometime back we had a resolution. Councilman Lorraine had wanted to have garbage cans put at the public boat launches. They originally were. There were some problems. They were picked up, and so the resolution went nowhere. The parish president was trying to look at other options, so he made an ordinance and basically making a law saying that they had to put garbage cans at the boat launches. So
That's a problem?
So today I got a veto letter from the parish president. So he did veto it. So in the interim, we're trying to figure out if we're doing an overreach by telling him he has to do his job that way. And of course, the parish president has said that he has committed to putting some cans at locations that they could have them. But that was just an interesting part of the
Who's
agenda.
anti-garbage can?
So I don't think anyone is. The problem is in the town of Lockport, at the Lockport boat launch, we had garbage cans. We tried dumpsters. The problem is that
Everybody comes put stuff.
people abuse it. Unlike a lot of state parks, even federal parks you go to, where whatever you take in, you take out.
Right.
At boat launches, people really would like to have a garbage can. The problem is they're abused. So if you're going to do it, you have to really do it in a manner that survives. Yeah. So anyway, resolution ordinance, parish president vetoes. So now we have a veto override. Opinions. It's a pretty complicated.
Big garbage can, man. Big garbage cans involved here. All right, we'll take a break. We'll be right back. More Going Public. Stay with us.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Alford and Associates for all of your insurance needs. CIS, Cardiovascular Institute of the South, the highest quality cardiovascular care available. Barker Honda, the Barker family tradition of quality.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Going Public. I'm Harry McCullough. We're speaking with Armand Otan and Dylan Chess, although Nooney, I see that actually
right.
you had the quotation marks. I'm looking at, we got a few guys that got Bo, T-Boo. Dylan, you don't have a
My name's Deirdre.
Oh,
But I go by
So
Dylan.
there you go.
I did them for the quotation.
Yeah, I got you. So where are we headed next?
Yeah, so a couple of public service announcements before a couple of projects I was going to talk about. But one of them is I just want to advise the people of Lafourche Parish, if you go to Lafourche Parish government website and you go to menu, then there is a I want to. So if anyone wants to report a garbage, they can start a work order basically on their own without having to go through a council member or through a DPW or anybody. You can start your work order, you get a number, and then you can track and follow it. So it's very important. Also, as a fire chief, I want to mention we're in the fall and it's time to change your batteries and carbon monoxide and your smoke alarms. They save lives, absolutely save lives without a shadow of a doubt. I want to shout out and thank Lafourche Parish Sheriff Weber. A short time back, he started allowing the fire departments to use inmate labor for aftermath, basically picking up fire hoses and stuff, and that has worked out great. It's taken a huge load off, especially off the volunteers, but also for the career departments. I'll mention that we talked about elections. So my municipality, we have a full slate from the mayor down to all the different aldermen that'll be coming up here.
That'll be on November 5th
Shortly.
as well?
So that's correct. Okay. So we're anxious to see. Things have been really good with the town, and so hopefully that continues. For me personally, I just want to mention my community center, which the Lockport Community Center, which took 30 years to build at a very high cost. We finally built it. And the second phase was to build ball fields at the community center. And so just want to let the public know about a month ago, notice to proceed was given to the contractor. The award was given, notice to proceed about a month ago. And about 2 weeks ago, they ordered the materials. So right around the corner, we'll start seeing some activity with the building of the ball fields. Aside from that, we're just talking about cameras. You know, I'm hopeful that the parish can continue to put cameras up to try to help to monitor some of the issues going on from dumping tires, from issues at boat launches. So we have cameras out strategically placed, but we're trying to grow on that. And so I'm hopeful that that'll happen. I want to, as Dylan sitting next to me, I want to go ahead and give a shout out to all of South Louisiana for the wonderful support that we got in the last few weeks. Right now is the fairs and festival times along the bayou. And these fairs and festivals support our nonprofits that basically dump money right back into our communities. So it's imperative that we continue to support them. And so we've had a good run of even with 5 inches of rain, we still had good weather for the actual fair weekend. So we've kind of had a good little run of weather. Yeah. And but I'm very thankful to the volunteers that make this happen, but also the community come out and support. Mm-hmm. Businesses are struggling, but they're still sponsoring the nonprofits. So just a huge shout out to everyone in our region that's supporting these festivals. And I always like for everyone to keep in mind that where their money is going, that's coming right back into the community. Sure. And for much needed programs. If
I can jump on that real quick, Rougarou Fest I know is this weekend here in Houma. Next weekend, so the last full weekend of October is going to be LaRose Civic Center's French Food Fest. So that's 3 days of good times. So Friday night, Saturday, Sunday. Great food. They got good music happening. They have their live auction as well. So if you're in the area, definitely make a trip to La Rose.
They'll have the Halloween parade will be down in Golden Meadow
Yeah.
in a couple of weeks, so that'll be good too.
And-
yeah, this is definitely festival
Yeah,
time, right?
and this weekend at the Cutoff Youth Center, we have on Friday night is our haunted house from 7 p.m. until 11 p.m. It's $5 to get in. Saturday is going to be 6 o'clock trick or treating inside the gym. Kids in costume will get a free hot dog and chili. And again, the haunted house is from 7 to 11. $5 entry for the haunted house to come in trick or treat. That's free
Now that's
at the Cutoff Youth Center.
at the youth center.
At the Cutoff Youth Center.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things. And so, yeah, everybody's getting ready for Halloween, which kind of kicks it off, right?
Yeah.
We have these festivals, but then Halloween, we go right into Thanksgiving, right into Christmas.
That's right, holiday time.
Now, does that change for you guys at all as far as lawmakers? Do y'all have seasonal time?
So the only thing I'll say with respect to as we come to the end of the year is that now is the 2025 budget. It's budget
Right.
time. So we actually, that's going to be upcoming in our November meetings, on November 12th and 13th. We'll have our budget hearings. So I would say that generally speaking, things get a little looser and a little easier, a little quieter from the council side as we go into the holiday season, and then it really kicks off and takes off in January. So the main thing that we're going to have going on is just basically going through the budget. If there's anything that we feel needs to be adjusted, amended as what's been presented by the parish president. Although Archie's done a really good job on putting money where it needs to be at.
So no dramatic cuts or anything like that has to be done right at the end of the year, that kind of stuff.
Don't see that happening. And we just did the 2024 millage approvals at the last meeting. So everything passed and moved forward. So that's not going to be any stumbling blocks. Many of the organizations, the nonprofits, are going to collect the same as what they collected last year because of a state law that allows them to collect more than what was actually approved by the voters, where they don't see a hole in their budget. Some programs like Lafourche Parish Fire Protection District Number 2 took the drastic measure and actually rolled back.
Right.
So not only not a roll forward or hold instead of a forward millage, but so we have some really good people
port-
that really manage our funds really
deals.
well.
Yeah.
port
Look,
did.
our government always needs money to work, but it's kind of a tough time to ask people
Yeah.
to contribute more.
And you
to.
mentioned your Halloween, so I'm sure Lafourche Fire District Number 3 is all involved in that,
Yes,
right?
they are.
Yeah. I got a shout out to my neighbors to the
Yes, they
south. I
are.
love Fire District 3.
Absolutely. Well, guys, thanks so much for being with us. Dylan, Nooney.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thanks
Thank you.
Going Public. I'm Harry McCullough. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
So much to see on HTV. Stick with us 'cause we're your home.